Hey, my name is Numrich, and today we're going to cover a video, and here's what I'm going to break it down to. This is covering the 3 simple steps for defensive stance. Now, let me kind of warn you guys, this is simple but super important, and sometimes things, because they're so simple, we don't think they're important. This is important, so I want you guys to make sure that we pay attention. We go ahead and we're faced with any kind of a threat, or if we start a training session, or you just want to practice some moves or whatever, it's so important that we take it from a regular defensive stance. I'm going to kind of ask you guys maybe some questions. Would you want to be squared off in a real life altercation, or should we be in some sort of a side stance? Well, the answer is we're going to be in a side stance. Specifically, right now, I'm in a left lead right here. This is a regular kind of boxing stance right here because my power hand is in back. If you feel more comfortable having a bladed stance like this, that would be fine too. My point is that we want to be in a bladed stance. Now, why do we want to be in this bladed stance? Well, for a couple different reasons. First of all, we're going ahead and we're narrowing out the targets that we can be struck on right here. If I'm squared off just like this, well, you have a full silhouette right here that someone can attack. In this stance right here, I start to limit those just by turning at a slight angle. Now I can move forward and back very, very quickly. Next thing we want to do is besides getting in at this bladed stance right here, is we want to go ahead and we want to bend our knees. Now, once again, I said this is very, very simple, but it's very, very important. If we go ahead and we lock out our knees and we have any kind of forward pressure, the chance of us being knocked on over or stumbling on back will go up dramatically. Think about any kind of sport that anybody plays. I don't care if it's basketball or football or tennis or whatever it may be. How many times do we go ahead and we see those athletes out there with straight legs, meaning their knees are not bent? Well, it's very, very rare, right? And a lot of times if they go ahead and they stand on up with their knees locked on out, they're not ready for the action. Here, all we want to do is we want to make sure that we're in a bladed stance. We also bend our knees so we're ready for action. We're ready to either engage or disengage. And the third and last thing we're going to do is making sure that our hands are up. Now, when we go ahead and we talk about that, once again, people are like, okay, yeah, I understand our hands are up. But even in my own classes, I see too many people, especially when they start getting tired or if they start getting stressed on out, their hands all of a sudden go down. We must train ourselves to make sure that our hands are up. Now, the next question people always ask is, how high do I want my hands? High, really above my head just like this? Do I want them really low, but still up and about just like this? I want them somewhere that you feel comfortable, that makes sense to you as well. Personally, I like my hands right above my face right here. This might be a little bit more of a boxer stance, a little Thai boxer stance, maybe right here. I like them somewhere in the middle just like this. From here, I can go ahead and I can block anything coming into my face, but I'm also ready to strike very, very quickly as well. Please understand that we're starting from the bottom and we're working our way to the top. We want a bladed stance, we want our knees bent, we want our hands up. So if I go ahead and I have, let's say, Casey out here, if he is threatening me in any kind of way, the first thing I need to do is get into my defensive stance. If Casey goes ahead and he pushes me from behind and I go ahead and all of a sudden see the threat, this is the first thing that I'm doing right here. Why is this so important that we go ahead and just kind of get into the stance right here? Well, just for this one simple fact right here, is that this stance right here very, very much mimics that flinch reflex. And you might have heard me talk about this in previous videos, but it's so important that we go ahead and when Casey comes on up here, we mimic what's going to happen if we all of a sudden feel threatened, much less if we get attacked. If that happens, we go ahead and our hands are going to fly on up, we're going to crouch down a little bit. And once again, if we take a look at how the body is going to naturally react, well, this pretty much looks like that defensive stance, right? We're in a bladed stance, our knees are bent and our hands are up. The more we practice this, the more we go ahead and we take our defensive responses from this position, okay, the better off we're going to be, the more prepared we're going to be in that. Thank you very much, Casey. All right, let's go ahead and let's go through review real quick, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to practice from a squared off stance, getting in a bladed stance. We're going to start with our knees straightened and we're going to go ahead and bend them. We're going to start with our hands down and our hands go right back up. I want to go ahead and I want to challenge you guys just to go ahead and practice from being in that neutral stance right here to a defensive stance. Neutral stance just like this to a defensive stance. That's all we want to do. I'm going to do that one more time. As simple as this is so important that we go ahead and we just are practicing this over and over again. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead, focus on this, practice on this, and have fun.